Man, Coach Kirby Smart, he feeling some type of way, man. He said he ain't really happy with how we done ended our season the past 2 years when it comes to the playoffs. Let's get into it. Hey, what's going on, my people? This your boy, Dogs Unfiltered. And today I'm going to talk about an article that I just came across on the internet from Down on the Dog. And it's basically Kirby Smart talking about how he's not happy with he's not happy with the way the season had ended the past 2 years when it comes to the Dogs and the playoffs. The article was released today, and let's get into it. So the article, like I said, is from Down on the Dog, and the author is Trevor Michael, and credit to him. He the one that put this article out, and so basically, Georgia has been on quite of the run the last few years. After going 12-0 and losing in the 2023 SEC Championship game, they have rattled off 2 straight SEC championships. While that is absolutely worth celebrating, at a program like Georgia, it is good. It isn't good enough. Excuse me. That's at least what Kirby Smart thinks, as the Bulldog lack of recent playoff success is starting to really frustrate him. I agree. So let me start right there. Yes, we definitely have had lackluster success when it comes to the playoffs the past 2 years. And a lot of that got to do with slow starts, quarterback play, offensive line play, receiver drops. Now, let me break that down for you before, I go into deeper. The 2024 season, our receivers had the most drops in all of the FBS. I think we had like 40, it was right at 40 drops. Then you add the offensive line play was horrendous. It wasn't up to the Georgia standard. I'll just put it that way. And then we had a quarterback who made his first collegiate start in the playoff against a front seven that had plenty of veterans and plenty of experience. You couple that with outside of the ball on offense, with the drops, the offensive line play, and the quarterback play, that was a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, fast forward to last year. Gunnar Stockton is the full-time starter. By the time we get to the playoff game, he got 12 games under his belt. Once again, I feel like we left a lot of plays on the field against Ole Miss. We couldn't generate a pass rush after going on like 5 games straight. We're getting at least 2 to 3 sacks a game ever since the Mississippi State game from last year. It's kind of like that layoff kind of made us lethargic. We was just starting slow. And that game, I just had a bad vibe about that game against Ole Miss. Mind you, we just beat Ole Miss at home in a shootout. So we go from a shootout against them to somewhat like a back and forth. I wouldn't call it a defensive slugfest, but it wasn't definitely high scoring like the first game was. They beat us because they got behind one of our DBs, DeMello Jones, for a 40-yarder, and that was enough for them to get the game-winning field goal. But even then, like, you go back and look at that game, I feel like it was a lot of good plays left on the field. Now, if we want to be successful this year in the playoffs, we're going to have to start hitting those plays. We're going to have to start being more explosive. We got to start starting slow on both sides of the ball. We're going to have to turn it up a notch if we want to get back to, winning those championships. Because, to win the championship, you got to be good at all 3 levels. Actually, 4. Starting with the head coach and his staff, got to be on point. Offense got to be clicking. Defense got to be stout. Even special teams got to come through. So that's just my theory on it. Like, we got to make sure those 4 things is humming. Like the 21 and the 22 seasons, all 4 of those things was phenomenal. We had no problem. Had probably one of the best kickers and punters in the country. Defense was elite. Offense was putting up about 45 points a game on those championship teams. So we're going to have to get back to that level of play if we want to, get back to holding up that national championship in January. All right, moving on. He goes on to say, I will never apologize for winning the SEC title, Smart said via X.com, which is formerly known as Twitter. I think this is the hardest thing to do in sports, to win the SEC title in almost any sport. Our conference is so hard, and then when we went to 16 games, it made it harder. But we missed the mark in the playoff 2 years in a row, and I give a lot of credit to those teams, Ole Miss and Notre Dame. All right, Kirby Smart isn't satisfied with winning the SEC. 3 years ago, Georgia was left out of the playoff after losing their one and only game of the season in the SEC championship game. Fast forward to the previous 2 seasons, they did not let that happen again because they went out and won the SEC 2 years in a row. Unfortunately, that did not lead to any success in the playoffs as they lost their first game of each year. Those 2 SEC titles are a great accomplishment, but failing in the tongue twister. But failing in the college football playoff hurt. Winning a national title is the ultimate goal. So even though the last 2 years were good seasons, they could have been much better. Smart is clearly getting frustrated with the lack of playoff success the last few years. Georgia has been the most dominant program in the country this decade, but if they continue to lose in the playoff, then that title might be given to someone else. But all it takes is one magical run this year, and Georgia will once again be the consensus #1 program in the country. I would agree with everything Coach said in that. But we got to get back. We got to get back to Georgia football, man. We got to get back being dominant on the defense. The front seven got to get back to getting sacks, getting tackles for loss. That offensive line got to get back to mauling. Running back, you got to return to its form. Quarterback play got to step it up a notch. Receivers got to step it up a notch. And I mean, that's pretty much where I stand with it at. Like, we want to definitely turn it up a notch. We can't. My main thing with this whole Georgia the past 2-3 years, past 3 seasons, slow starts. That been my main issue with them. I'm not going to put all that on Mike Bobo because, like I say, I'm not one of the ones that's going to bash Mike Bobo. I can't. I really can't. Yeah, have he had some games to where you know it could be better? Yes. But overall, I feel like he's done enough to win those games. I think he did enough to win the Sugar Bowl last year. You know, defense kind of like, I ain't going to say they let us down, but, you know, it was one of those games where like, which defense would have played a little better. But that's neither here nor there. You know, that's behind us now. It's time to look forward to the 2026 football season. And that's all I have about this video, man. Like I said, if you want to check out that article for yourself, it's at dawnofthedog.com. And that's all I got for tonight. Y'all already know the logo. Y'all already know the slogan. All gas, all dogs. Go Dogs.